be reading about common pieces of knowledge that in fact aren't so common. We hope you enjoy. Let's get started. Chapter 8. That's incredibly wrong. The wrong side of the bed. Left versus right. This is truly a matter of critical importance, lest you spend every minute of every day in a funk. Those who get up on the wrong side of the bed, as we all know, are a blight on society, casting a pall on everyone who comes into their presence. The right side is the right side. To help you avoid being the one under the rain clouds, we'll let you in on the secret. It's the left side. Do whatever you have to do in order to get up on the right side. Pushing your bed against the wall works nicely, and you should be fine. But what's with the left side? If you were a Roman living around the time of Julius Caesar, you might ask, what isn't wrong with the left side? The ancient Romans distrusted everything left-handedness, entering a house with the left foot forward, even setting the left foot down first when getting out of bed. If it could be done on the right side, with the right hand, or with the right foot, then that was the way it should be done. Are left-handers sinister? There is an entire history of myths that associate evil with left-handedness. For instance, the devil is reputed to be left-handed, and it is with the left hand that he baptizes his followers. Or so they say. Also, according to the Satanic Bible, Satanists follow the left-hand path, which is the path opposite that of the Christian faith. From the very beginning of recorded time, the left side has been distrusted. In fact, the Latin word for left, sinistro, is the root of the word sinister. In almost all cultures, this belief has been held. Left-handed people are no longer treated as devil worshippers as they once were by practitioners of the Catholic faith. Sure, biases continue to exist. Scissors, notebooks, and guitars all spring to mind, but lefties are treated as average human beings in most respects. Still, just to be safe, remember to get up on the right side of the bed. That is to say, the correct side, which is also the right side. And just for good measure, you should probably let your right foot hit the floor. Your day might be better for it. On top of the world. You've scaled Mount Everest and are marveling at the fact that you're getting your picture taken at the highest point on the planet. You're as close to the moon as any human being can be while standing on the surface of the earth. Actually, you're not. To achieve that, you'd have to climb back down and travel to the other side of the world. Ecuador, to be exact, so you can schlep to the summit of Mount Chimborazo. It's true that Everest, at 29,035 feet, is the world's tallest mountain when measured from sea level, but thanks to the Earth's quirky shape, Chimborazo 2,702 feet from sea level, is about 1.5 miles closer to the moon than Everest's peak. Earth is not a perfect sphere. Rather, it's an oblate spheroid. Centrifugal force from billions of years of rotating has caused the planet to flatten at the poles and bulge out at the equator. In effect, this pushes the equator farther from the Earth's center than the poles. About 13 miles closer to the moon. The farther you move from the equator, the farther you move from the moon. Chimborazo sits near the equator, while Everest lies about 2,000 miles north, enough to make it farther from the moon than Chimborazo, despite being about 8,000 feet taller. Murphy's Law. Perhaps you've heard of Murphy's Law, which basically means if anything can go wrong, it will. It's a simple adage that seems to perfectly sum up so many situations in our topsy-turvy lives. Ah, Murphy dear. Murphy, your failures have served as such a global inspiration. Murphy likely had no idea his name would become synonymous with screw-ups when he uttered that now infamous phrase. Although, to be fair, the phrase we know isn't exactly what he said. Here's the story. As the tale goes, there was once a U.S. Air Force captain named Edward A. Murphy. Back in 1949, Captain Murphy was working on a military air test at Edwards Air Force Base, trying to figure out how much force a human body could tolerate during a plane crash. It's probably no surprise that things didn't go as planned. After the test, Murphy and his crew realized all of the sensors they'd installed on the test subjects, the devices that, after the experiment ended, should have allowed them to get the data they needed, failed to work. Days later, the captain held a news conference at which he inadvertently cemented his place in history. If there are 2 or more ways to do something, and one of those results is a catastrophe, he was quoted as saying, then someone will do it that way. Thus, Murphy's Law was born. Whether it's the traffic lane next to yours always moving faster, the dropped piece of bread always landing butter side down, or a single sock always disappearing during laundry, the law is still used call it Cooperstown, New York, where the two had gone to school together. In his account, which was published by the Beacon Journal in Akron, Ohio, under the headline, Abner Doubleday Invented Baseball, Graves alleged to have seen crude drawings of a baseball diamond produced by Doubleday, both in the dirt and on paper. The members of the Mills Commission took Graves at his word and closed the investigation, confident that they had solved the mystery of how baseball was invented. The commission released its final report in December 1907, never mentioning Graves by name, and an American legend was born. Sadly, Graves' story was more whimsy than fact. For one thing, he was only 5 years old in 1839 when he claimed to have seen Doubleday's drawings. But even more important, Doubleday wasn't even in Cooperstown in 1839. He was a cadet attending the military academy at West Point. In addition, Doubleday, a renowned diarist, never once mentioned baseball in any of his writings, nor did he ever claim to have invented the game. Nonetheless, the Doubleday myth received a boost in 1934 when a moldy old baseball was discovered in an attic in Fly Creek, New York, just outside Cooperstown. It was believed to have been owned by Graves, and as such, was also believed to have been used by Abner Doubleday. The historic ball was purchased for $5 by a wealthy Cooperstown businessman named Stephen Clark, who intended to display it with a variety of other baseball memorabilia. 5 years later, Cooperstown became the official home of the Baseball Hall of Fame. If anyone can lay claim to being the father of American baseball, it's Alexander Cartwright. He organized the first official baseball club in New York in 1845 called the Knickerbocker Baseball Club, and published a set of 20 rules for the game. These rules, which included the designation of a 9-player team and a playing field with a home plate, and 3 additional bases at specific distances, form the basis for baseball as we know the sport today. Cartwright's Hall of Fame plaque in Cooperstown honors him as the father of modern baseball. And in 1953, Congress officially credited him with inventing the game. Baby Ruth's truth. Many people believe that the Baby Ruth candy bar was named for baseball great Babe Ruth. Others contend that the honor belongs to President Grover Cleveland's daughter, Ruth. German immigrant Otto Schnaring founded the Curtis Candy Company in Chicago in 1916. With World War I raging in Europe, Schnaring Chicago's blustery status is full of hot air. Gastric geography. The adage, "you are what you eat," may be accurate in terms of describing the relationship between consumption and health, but it would be unwise to confuse the foods we when the ship or aircraft is outside the territory of the United States, except A, in accordance with local laws, and B, in the presence of a diplomatic official of the United States. As an alternative to a wedding at sea, couples may want to consider exchanging vows aboard a ship that is docked in a port. Ultimately, though, if you want to avoid a legal battle to validate your cruise line marriage, you may want to heed the adage displayed on many vessels. Any marriages performed by the captain of this ship are valid for the duration of the voyage only. It's iron, I see. Popeye credited his trusty can of spinach for his bulging biceps, but his assumptions about spinach were based on a widespread misconception about its iron content. Popeye didn't start the rumor about the nutritional value of spinach. He simply popularized the widely held belief, based on a single scientific study, that spinach is a superior source of iron. But the leafy green's reputation wasn't so ironclad. An 1870 German study of spinach claimed it had 10 times the iron content of other green leafy vegetables. This claim, uncontested for 70 years, turned out to be based on a misprint, a misplaced decimal point. The iron content of spinach was overestimated by a factor of 10. By the time the error was discovered in 1937, Popeye had already helped spread the myth far and wide and encouraged several generations of children to tolerate the unappealing vegetable in hopes of developing their hero's brawn. The hype about spinach didn't end then, because the error wasn't publicized. It wasn't until an article on the mistake was published in a 1981 issue of the British Medical Journal that the public learned of the true iron content of spinach. In the 1990s, spinach received another blow when it was discovered that its oxalic acid content prevents the body from absorbing more than 90% of the vegetable's iron. Oxalic acid binds with iron and renders most of it unavailable. Luckily for Popeye's legacy, however, the spirited sailor was not wrong to think that spinach has abundant nutritional merit. It's a terrific source of vitamins A, B1, B2, B3, B6, C, E, and K, as well as magnesium, calcium, and potassium. If it's muscles you're after, you'll need to pump iron rather than consume it. Castro strikes out. Though an avid fan of the game, Fidel Castro never came close to playing professional baseball. While we're at it, the bearded Cuban was never an aspiring movie star either. Former Cuban President Fidel Castro is one of the most controversial and divisive national leaders of the 20th century. He is also one of the longest lasting, ending his almost 50-year political reign when he handed power to his brother, Raul, in February Not surprisingly, Castro is the subject of numerous myths, and the most popular is that he was given a pitching tryout in the 1940s by the New York Yankees or the Washington Senators, depending on which version is told. Castro was a longtime fan of the great American pastime, which remains equally popular in Cuba, but there is no evidence that he was ever scouted by an American major league team. He never played baseball professionally in his native country, though it's possible he may have played a bit of extracurricular ball during his college years. But even if that's true, the revolutionary leader certainly didn't possess the athletic skills that would have drawn the eye of a major league scout. It's likely that this myth started as a way to humiliate Castro by portraying his revolutionary ambitions as payback for the fact that he was found lacking by an American baseball team, especially one called the Yankees. Such myths carry great power in trivializing the motivations of one's enemies. That said, there is strong evidence that Castro did have one brief, shining moment on the mound when he faced third baseman Don Hoke, who would later go on to play for the Brooklyn Dodgers, Pittsburgh Pirates, and other teams. According to his wife, singer-actress Jill Corey, Hoke played in the Cuban leagues during the winter of 1950 and 51, just prior to joining the Brooklyn Dodgers. In a game between Cienfuegos and Marinao, a large group of rowdy fans ran onto the playing field in the middle of an inning. Before being chased out of the park by security guards, one of the fans took to the mound and threw several pitches to Hoke, who was at the bat at the time. According to Corey, the pitcher was none other than a young Fidel Castro. Hoke himself confirmed the bizarre incident in an article he wrote with journalist Myron Cope titled, "The Day I Battled Against Castro." The mythical movie Extra. A shattered dream of baseball glory isn't the only urban legend involving Fidel Castro. It is also commonly reported that he was an extra in several Hollywood movies in the 1940s, including Two Girls and a Sailor, Holiday in Mexico, and Easy to Wed. But like the spurious baseball tryout, this rumor is also untrue. In fact, Castro wasn't even in the United States during the time he allegedly was making Hollywood movie history. Rather, he was a student in Havana. The rumor apparently started after band leader Xavier Cugat, who appeared in several of the movies often linked to Castro, made mysterious references in a magazine interview to a dancer he had hired. Cugat refused to give the dancer's name because the man was a South American general at the time. Fidel Castro was one of the modern era's longest-serving political figures, outlasting 9 U.S. presidents, but he was never rejected by the New York Yankees, the Washington Senators, or any other major league team, nor was he a minor league Hollywood hopeful. Thanks once